Hello and welcome to Lamentations from Albion, a podcast all about the gradual descent and fiery downfall of the British Isles. I'm joined by Cypher Duran.
Hello.
And Unity.
Hey there.
I'm Alexis. In the news this week, protests continue against the new changes to police powers, with violence in Bristol so heinous that police dogs had to step in and bite the aggressor. It's unknown how bad the injuries were to the man, but it seems that he continues to work for Avon and Somerset Police. Critics claim the police were just doing their job, with one Labour MP calling it entirely appropriate use of the baton. Toby Perkins, MP for Chesterfield, says that while minors and others were victims of police brutality, these victims of police brutality had no right to defend themselves, and we should think of the poor officers who had nothing to defend themselves with but armour, the backing of the political establishment, and their positions as police. Nicola Sturgeon survives a vote of no confidence in her leadership after weeks of totally fair poking from the tabloids. Keir Starmer, leader of the Labour Party, and evidence of the continued stranglehold boomers have on our society, was noted as saying that she should resign if she was found to have broken a ministerial code. Keir Starmer is yet to call for the resignation of any of the Tory scandals, despite one of Johnson's own advisers resigning after the PM-backed noted arsehole Prue Patel, meaning the Conservative Party is more critical of itself than the Labour Party. And finally, Boris Johnson has claimed that greed and capitalism is what saved the UK from the pandemic. I'm sure that all 100,000 people who died feel very happy knowing that the country was saved by greed, and that all the scientists, doctors and public sector workers who kept the nation going are happy that capitalism was actually the answer and not their collective efforts. Also, Boris Johnson may have breached the Nolan Principles for Public Life, which is the legal way of saying that he's a fucking liar. That's no joke, he's just a scumbag. Fuck you, Boris. How are we doing?
Hot take there. Hot take.
I know. Only the finest takes here at Lamentations from Albion.
Oh dear.
I do have a few things to say before we go forwards. One, fuck the police.
Fuck the police.
Fuck them in the face with a baseball bat, repeated of their ears, and then they're on the and then you
So, not a fan of police there, Unity.
I'll have to bleep all of that out, but it's fine. Second, fuck the Tories, fucking scum. And thirdly, fuck Keir Starmer, a fucking traitor.
Can Labour find a leader who isn't completely useless at the thing of, being the opposition, please?
Unfortunately, Labour is yet to report that it is missing its backbone, and it is presumed deceased.
Yeah, they removed what was the vestigial backbone of the Labour Party in the last election when they stabbed Corbyn in the back so hard that they had to reach all the way through him in order to get the knife out.
You say that, but Corbyn did, preside over the collapse of the Red Wall.
I feel like the blame...
I'm missing Ed Miliband, that's a bad sign.
I feel like the blame for the Red Wall collapse is less on Corbyn and more on the people who made sure that he was walking on eggshells the entire time.
Yeah, like Keir Starmer and all the Labour HQ people. Remember that the Beast of Bolsover comes from the Red Wall and is one of his strongest supporters. Corbyn had a massive support of people in the Red Wall. But it's difficult to really do anything when you're having to fight your own party at the same time as the fucking Tories and everybody else. The media, everybody. Just it doesn't work.
I'd like to make a special fuck you note to Angela Eagle. Just her in particular.
Well, like any of the right-wing fucking Labourites, fuck them all.
Well, in lighter news, the world economy was brought to a standstill. Ship getting stuck.
Yes! Yes! Oh, did you see? It's actually slightly not stuck anymore.
Oh, I believe it's been freed now.
That was the last I heard.
The last time I checked,
believe
it had been slightly refloated, but it was still kind of sideways.
At time of recording, it has been freed from the channel and has proceeded up, which means that now the global economy can get back to normal pending COVID-19.
Oh, brilliant. I love it when somebody tries to drift a tanker through the Suez Canal.
I have to say, it wasn't the dude's fault. those
It
things
kind of was the dude's fault.
It kind of was, but it
he
wasn't.
It was. He was in the middle of sandstorm. That is true. I will not blame that. And it was also the biggest ship ever created. So that's two very serious factors in this. But also,
was it the biggest ship ever created?
It's one of them. It's like
it's
one of the largest ships. It's one of the largest container ships ever created.
I think the largest is an oil.
There might be oil tankers that are bigger, but you know, it's when we're splitting hairs over 100 tons here or there. When you're talking about hundreds of thousands of tons of like cargo capacity, it's he shouldn't have continued to drive the thing forward in the middle of a fucking sandstorm, no matter how good the pilot was. Because the people who drive these ships up and down the Suez Canal are actually like specialists who get on a ship and pilot it through the canal, then get off at the other port, and then get on a ship and drive another ship back down, and just keep doing that. They just drive them up and down the Suez Canal all day long. That's all they do. So this was a specialist that did this. So I can see why he was very confident in driving through this sandstorm. However, I mean, he's got to be hiding in a very, very deep hole in the ground right now, because there's probably some very, very powerful people who want to murder him.
I think an underrated part of this story is the fact that the ship drew a penis in GPS positioning before going into the Suez.
Like, was this the Leroy Jenkins of ships? Just like draws a dick and just like runs headlong down the fucking canal and then gets stuck. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It's like that has been one of the things that has made my week so much better. Just like checking the there's a website for it. There was a fucking website for it. Istheshipstillstuck.com.
Oh, I saw it. Yes. It's fantastic.
I love it. It's just literally there's more information below, but it's like the top of the website is just like, is the ship still stuck? Yes. And then it was like sometime last night it was like sort of.
Are you getting me to put more stuff in the comments than complete nonsense I usually put?
Yes, I am.
God damn it. Anyway, no, oh god. The thing which got me is that there's these two canals built by the same guy, which are single points of failure for like a ridiculously large chunk of the world economy. Because if something blocks the Panama Canal or the Suez Canal, then container ships can't get anywhere without traveling some of the most dangerous seas in the world. So basically, they need to build another canal. And I looked at the map, and there's a whole lot of desert next to the Suez.
Let's put it this way: building a new Suez Canal. I mean, that could be doable, but you don't want to build a new Panama Canal.
No! Oh God, no!
Do you know how many people died the last time?
American exceptionalism doesn't care for foreign casualties.
It was like 6,500 people died building the Panama Canal, mostly from malaria and other mosquito-borne diseases. Because when you're cutting a big water channel through what is essentially a fucking swamp, you're basically just making a huge pool of standing water behind you, which literal billions of mosquitoes just fuck in constantly, and everybody dies. The Suez Canal was slightly less problematic to build, but it was still pretty problematic. But if you like carve more chunks out of Egypt, like there ain't gonna be much of Egypt left. You might as well just like Africa is like starts to float off into the sea, so slice it off from the rest of the world. Like, it's a pretty wide. The Suez Canal itself is pretty wide. It just seems pretty small because container ships are the biggest things you could possibly imagine. Like,
I mean, it was the biggest obstacle between Egypt and Israel during the Arab Wars. So much to the point that they had to specifically engineer a way to get everything across and through the sand dunes on the other side of the bank.
Yeah, I mean, you can't ford this thing. It is hundreds of meters across. It's not not an insubstantial barrier. Like, if you were to put a second one in, like, it would...
Just
it
200
would cost,
yards to the left.
It would cost a lot. Yeah, it would cost a lot, and I don't think Egypt really wants to deal with this shit. They're doing quite fine as it is, taxing all the trade that comes through their ports.
Yeah, but it does seem every time there's a new console release, something gets stuck in the Suez Canal.
I mean, I think the last time anything got stuck is like the Panama Canal, and it wasn't too bad. This is like the worst shit getting stuck in a canal has been in like ever.
Anyway, shall we continue with
fuck it. Let's actually do the podcast.
Yes, let's actually do the thing we're here. Let's actually do the thing we're here to record. We can cover the Suez Crisis in another episode.
No. We're keeping this stuff in. We're keeping
we're keeping this in.
Yeah, we're definitely keeping this shit in.
We're keeping this in.
Yeah. So, what has everybody else been up to this week?
Well, campaigning has officially started in the London elections. So the council's under PERDA, so we have to be very careful about what we announce and how we announce it, as Alexis can painfully tell you. Means I have got a new pile of letters to deliver to help someone else get a job.
Yeah, fun. It sounds like you're keeping yourself busy then, at least. Making the most of the relaxation of the stay-at-home order.
Yes. I have been helping campaign towards electing Labour in my local council elections. And that means standing and posing with a flag, because, oh yeah, it's time to talk about flag wankers.
Yay!
Which is our primary topic tonight. Oh boy.
Hell yeah.
So, for the unaware, this story is going to seem very strange to Americans, because America's always been very good at worshipping their flag, or rather, they've always had it normalised for them. They
fetishize their freaking flag.
I think it's because they don't have, like, the whole, like, royal family thing that they worship instead. Like, nationalism in the UK kind of coalesces around the royal family, or at least used to. It's now coalescing around other things, but, you know.
We'll talk about that later on.
Cool.
But Americans are very good at looking at their flag and saying, oh, that's me. That you see the American flag everywhere. It hangs outside homes.
That's fucking weird.
There's the Pledge of Allegiance that is super fucking creepy, if I'm honest, Americans. I'm sorry. But that aspect of your culture has always weirded me out. Like, you stand up and you pledge allegiance to the flag in a hypnotic monotone voice with your hand over your heart.
You know what the fantastically, purely, brilliantly American thing about the Pledge of Allegiance? It was created by a flag salesman to sell more flags.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Everything in the 1800s was just like, in America, was like fucking Wild West bullshit. Like, even if it wasn't in the Wild West, it was still Wild West bullshit. Also, they get like grades. What is the lower school in America? It's
elementary,
grade school or primary school, whatever, you know, your little kid's school is in America. They get them to say it each day. Stand up and fucking hand on heart. Like, it's so creepy. Brainwashing. It's crazy as fuck.
It's so weird. Why do you do this? Stop it. It's creepy. Especially when people demand that, you know, you have to say it in sync with everyone else. Yes, we're all individuals.
Yeah, this is
just like everyone else.
Saying something in sync with everybody else. Like, this is a brainwashing technique. This is like, you know, counting cadence, the military, when they're running and you sing. And everybody else sings in response to you. This is like, it's used as a brainwashing technique to get you to identify with everybody else around you, to get you to act as a single body. And they're doing this to kids.
One nation under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Liberty and justice for all, yeah,
love
right.
my
Unless they're fucking
country.
black.
Or Asian at the moment.
I mean, not just at the moment, but like...
Well, in general, yeah, but...
Oh, God, yeah, don't talk to the Americans about Catholics. Oh, boy.
Oh.
They don't like Catholics. Apart from those
Even
that
though
like
one of their
Catholics.
founding fathers was a Catholic.
Don't tell them about like the realities of their founding fathers. They've got like serious myths about that, and we will get cancelled.
George Washington freed his slaves. He was a good person. Yeah.
I'm related to one of the founding fathers, for God's sake.
What?
Fucking what? No.
What?
So we're stopping shit right here. You're explaining this right now. What?
Okay, the family split long ago. One set of cousins moved to America, one of them being the first Catholic bishop over in the States, another one being the famous, or if you actually read the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, Charles Carroll of Carrollton. Yes, his father set up the town. And his cousin who he wrote to, and my dad's got these letters, is one of my ancestors.
Holy shit.
I am distantly related to one of the founding fathers.
Yeah, no, I literally just Googled the first Catholic bishop in America, and you're fucking like, yeah, okay, you've got me there. Fuck.
That's much cooler than my family's links to teaching the royal families of Europe etiquette.
Yeah, that's much cooler than my family's original name. I don't have this name anymore. Is Thurman. It's distantly related to Uma Thurman. And
Oh, nice.
My mum's like, I think it was like third cousin or something like that is Robert Plant. Nobody's old enough to remember this. You'll Google him in a second. Just be like, the fuck?
I don't know. I've never heard of him. Is he a Fortnite? Is he on TikTok?
Okay, fair enough.
Does he have a Discord?
Anyway, we've got way off topic.
There you go.
Anyway, I'm now actually going to have to listen to the recording of this so I can actually figure out what we're talking about and what you're cutting out. And I hate
I've just dumped something into our group chat for everyone to read.
Yeah.
But like, to anybody listening to this, the Robert Plant thing makes sense. It's just you two are like culturally deficient. So
he's from Led Zeppelin, right?
It's not that I'm culturally deficient.
You're just young.
I'm just young. I grew up on My Chemical Romance and Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco. I'm young. I'm not
good
young.
Music from that era.
I listen to some Black Sabbath. I listen to some AC/DC. I listen to some REM.
Hey, I know the singer from Def Leppard that only got one arm.
Fair enough.
Immigrant Song is a fucking amazing track. I just don't know. Didn't know the names of the people.
It's okay. He's like possibly one of the most famous British musicians of all time.
I'm just exposing how
Freddie
I'm young.
Mercury was some poser. David Bowie, no one's heard of him.
I didn't say the most. I said one of the most.
Ringo Starr, George Harrison.
Ringo Starr's a fucking hack. Fuck him.
Oh no, Ringo.
Yeah,
Ringo
Ringo.
was the second best drummer in the Beatles.
No, don't be mean to Ringo.
He was.
Yeah.
Paul McCartney was a better drummer.
To the Beatles, have you listened to their drum track?
But that's what drumming is.
No,
it's playing so no one knows what you're doing, and they just say,
Okay. Let's get back on track, and we put all this into an outtake video, which we'll put up as well.
Listen to some like punk or anything else like really fast tempo, and watch the fucking drummer. Fuck it, Slipknot even like their drum tracks are insanely complicated.
Don't talk to me about playing insane drum tracks. I used to be able to do Avenged Sevenfold.
Nice.
I used to. I haven't played a drum kit in like a decade. I miss playing drums.
Yeah, man. I have to when I'm really considering getting a electronic drum kit because they're much cheaper.
Oh,
and,
I know they're
affordable.
cheaper, but I hate them so much.
Yeah,
they
know.
feel. Oh no, I hate them. I played one once. I was like, never again. This is awful.
Yeah, it feels weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, it feels like you're hitting a solid surface. We've gone way off track.
I know. It's fantastic. This is what it's all about.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to listen to this to figure out what actually is included, and anything you cut out, which is funny, just make a separate thing, and I'll put it up as the outtakes.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, for sure. Or I'll
Cool.
put it on the end, possibly.
Yeah. Okay.
There will be lots of beeping out of various violent quotes from me. But...
Yeah. America's always done the flag waving better than us. They've got it ingrained in their culture. Here it's always been either football is happening or you just know it's a racist. If you see a flag, there is a 9 out of 10 chance that it's just a racist.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, in come the Tories with their breathtaking ideas of how to unite the nation after Brexit. Put flags everywhere. It's an amazing idea. Now,
you're going to talk about their £2.6 million fucking command center room or whatever the fuck it is.
Oh, an excellent use of public money. £2.6 million for some blue paint and some flags.
Yeah, and a desk that literally came out of the first office furniture catalogue that they looked at.
And an Argos TV.
Yes.
And a terribly placed crest, a seal across the name.
Yeah, right across the fucking middle of the...
it's terrible.
Everything they do is terrible. They can't even get their public image right, and that's the easiest thing to do is public relations.
Yeah, I can't even do evil properly.
Yeah, if you have no morals, you can just lie to everybody, and your public image looks amazing. Look at the Republicans in America. Look at the Conservatives here. Except the Conservatives here just fuck everything up constantly. Though I feel like all of our political parties fuck everything up constantly. So maybe that's not a good example. I don't know.
Well, at least
we'll figure it out.
So alongside this general rebranding of Britain trademark, Robert Jenrick, the minister at the Ministry of Housing, appeared on BBC Breakfast, which is a morning TV show hosted on the BBC, which is the
clues in the
state-run.
BBC Breakfast, isn't that the one that Piers Morgan got fired from?
No, that's Good Morning Britain. And he wasn't fired, he quit because...
He flounced off.
And I hope everyone can hear the bunny ears snorting into place here. He quit.
He quits because he's a massive piece of shit. I have no idea how he and Jeremy Clarkson hate each other when they're both the most unlikable sots in the world.
Well, that's why they hate each other.
Probably because they recognise each other's grift and just,
Yeah.
What is it? What is it's like magnets. It's like repels like.
So
two positive poles just refuse to cooperate.
So Robert Jenrick appeared on BBC Breakfast, and one of the presenters made a comment about they hope the flag is up to regulation. It seems rather small, and
what?
I'll be honest, I don't remember what their names are. It's Naga and Charlie are the two presenters who were embroiled in this whole scandal.
Okay.
They made some comment about the flags, about the flag in the corner of the room that was just looked like it'd been propped up for a background. And then Charlie followed it up with, at least they've got a picture of the Queen up on the wall. Cue the inevitable outrage by flag shackers that the British Broadcasting Corporation, is sullying its heritage and is making fun of Britain, and we cannot abide being made fun of.
Everybody in Britain that is listening to this, look around your office. How many of you have a fucking freestanding flag in the corner of your office? I'm going to guess that it is a substantially small proportion of you. And maybe he's a bit of a fucking weirdo for doing it. I mean, the picture of the Queen, fuck it. If you're going to do that kind of, like, Stalinist kind of stuff, of, like, having the head of state up on the wall that you, like, salute to every day or whatever. I don't know what Robert Jenrick does.
I mean, you'll need to bleep this.
Well, that makes sense. Personally, the only pictures I have on my wall are of fictional characters or my children. Or pigs. Lots of pictures of pigs up on my walls.
All those people watching this on YouTube are probably going to now see a picture that is currently hung up on my wall, flashed across your screen. I'm not even fucking sorry. Let's continue.
Now we're going to be demonetized, but we're never going to get monetized in the first place.
No, and you folks know what that picture is.
Y'all are making money. So, cue the inevitable outrage from idiots on the right claiming that the British Broadcasting Corporation has forgotten its heritage and it wants to make fun of Britain. And I'll be honest, it tells that a lot of this anger was directed not at the white man, but at the brown woman. She's the one who was desecrating the flag. She's to blame, because, totally nothing racist about that, particularly when it's coming from a bunch of people saying, this flag is important, you shall not mock this flag. How dare the brown person mock this flag? Don't you know this flag is liberty, it's freedom, it's decades and decades of colonialism, but it's liberty and it's freedom and it's happiness.
I wonder... How many of these people wanking on about the flag, one, know there is a right way up to fly the flag, and two, could tell you which is the right way up? Because I sure hell can't.
That is my continually favourite thing about people who fly the flag, is that 9 times out of 10 they get it the wrong fucking way up, and they have no idea. Like, if you purported to love this thing so much, you would pay attention.
Yeah, I mean...
But...
True, but who gives a shit about the red stripe being a couple of inches, like, to the fucking left or whatever? Like,
well, it's not about that. It's about the positioning of it, because you can tell.
I mean, you can tell, but does it really matter?
I mean, it's not that it matters particularly, but it's funny.
It's not like one of those cool flags that's like a crest in the centre that looks weird if it's upside down, or like the US flag where you can really fucking tell it's upside down. It's like super subtle, and so many people have like messed this up in the past. Like so many people in like the BBC, like state broadcasting, have messed this shit up.
The government's PR department's messed it up as well.
We haven't messed this up because I drew the fucking art for this, and I know I haven't messed this up, but you know.
Well, in any case. Cue the inevitable backlash from people on the right, and cue the totally not cancelling of the BBC. Because remember, it's not cancel culture if you call it defunding. It's not cancel culture if you call it a boycott. They're totally different because they're called different things.
Yep.
So a whole week of defund the BBC, cancel the BBC. This flag is precious to me. I fucking love this flag. Let me show you how much I love it. It's gone on. And now, because in this time of crisis, as the country is on its knees and as we are staring down the barrels of potential recovery, now is the time for all government buildings to fly the Union Jack by law.
They also want to apply for planning permission to fly the flag of the EU.
So this trend of whitewashing nationalism with red, white, and blue. So I'm generally, as much as I like flags, because I'm a bit of a vexillology nerd. Flags are more trouble. Is that
what the study of flags is called?
Yeah, it's vexillology. Vexillology?
Vexillology, I think.
I'm sure someone in the comments is going to scream at me for my pronunciation. I'm sorry.
Like we get comments.
For as much as
You know we get comments. You reply to them.
For as much as I love flags and what a good flag can represent, flags are the fucking worst at times, and more specifically, what people do with them. Because this whole event has just shown how people latch onto a flag as a symbol of their identity, and that becomes their identity. For the last week, we've heard about how the British flag represents Britain, and it's going to bring everyone together, and no, it's fucking not. Because I don't look at that flag and think, oh, well, clearly that represents me, because it fucking doesn't.
No, there's a flag which I look at and find it represents me, and that's the Welsh flag. It's got a goddamn dragon on it, and dragons are cool.
Fucking mood, man.
This whole week I've seen weirdos on the internet talk about how, well, you call us flag wankers, and yet you fetishize the rainbow flag, or the trans pride flag, or the NB flag, or any number of LGBTQ plus identities. But the difference there is what they represent. Because the Conservatives aren't using this flag as a, hey, let's all come together. They're using it as a, look at us, we're British, whilst at the same time simultaneously stiffing this nation, making public sector workers suffer, and generally fucking over everyone. Like, there is no hiding the fact that what they do for this country isn't patriotic, because everything they do for this country fucking hurts it, and everyone in it. What they do is they support a very few select number of elites who move their money off seas and move to foreign countries when they're done here. There is nothing patriotic about sticking a flag in your room and then cutting benefits for millions.
You know what really boiling me my piss about this is that they had time to say everyone needs to put a flag up, but not time to extend the ability for local councils to hold their meetings remotely. Okay, I know most councillors have probably already got the vaccination because, let's be honest, most local councillors are drawing their pension. As someone who's quite a bit away from that and is in one of the last groups to be vaccinated and an elected councillor for the borough of I would really, really like to be able to continue holding these meetings remotely, because I kind of don't want to have to turn up representing people wearing a goddamn face mask.
Yeah, no, in fact, I have to ask, can't your council just, agree to meet remotely anyway?
No, we're bound by various acts of central government and our own constitution.
So you're physically banned from meeting remotely?
Yeah.
Can you tele presence in?
Don't know. We are looking into this matter with officers, which is the usual thing.
Yeah, okay. So okay. Hear me out. There has to be a meeting in the council buildings, in the stipulated council offices for every council meeting that the public are then available to attend. Now that you're not allowed to do it all remotely. Is there any stipulation for how many of you are allowed to telepresence in?
No, but I don't think
so. What you do is you have one person in the room, and then everybody else just fucking telecalls in. You have a monitor on the back wall. Fuck them. Fuck the government. Stupid fucking rules.
Well, yeah. Though the fun thing is that the turbine hall in the Tate can't be open at the moment because of these regulations. But the council chamber of council, which is tiny and gets boiling hot even in winter, is fine. We're allowed to go there, all 54 of us.
There's 54 of you on the council. Holy shit.
And we're not one of the biggest councils. There are bigger councils.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I'm used to small town councils where you've got 12, 15 people on the council. That's 50 fucking people. Jesus.
Yep, 30 odd of them
How do your elections go? God, can you imagine trying to re-elect 50 fucking councillors? The form must be a mile long.
Well, no, it isn't, though, because the council's split down into wards, and each ward only has 3 councillors. Only has 3 councillors.
Okay, right, okay.
And the ward is a MP's constituency.
I'm showing myself here. I can't. I'm like a rural boy. So when you say town council, for me that is literally the entire town votes on their entire council. Whereas in you city boys, you've got your town council is actually made up of 30 different fucking towns, all electing a couple of councillors at a time.
You see, you're not used to living in the city like us.
Yeah, I know. I'm a country bumpkin. I mean, fuck it. I look like a country bumpkin at the moment. I'm sat here in my dungarees with my shirt off. I'm not even fucking kidding.
Too hot for YouTube.
Yeah, man. Like I am a hot boy.
Oh, I've forgotten entirely where I was.
We're bitching and moaning about flags.
Amazing. I feel like we've had a good natter on about flag wankers in any case.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's safe to say that the repeated claims that they are the true patriotic party because they put flags everywhere. It's a gross tactic of faux nationalism designed to swell up images of, oh my god, you do look like a fucking rural hillbilly.
I just took a picture of myself and put it in the group chat.
Please.
And
Oh dear. I think we need to censor that picture.
This is not going online because the background is horrible because I'm currently moving house, so everything in the background is full of like crap and boxes, and yeah, no, that's not going online. But yeah.
Oh, is it not? Is it not? I'm not going to download it and put it on the Twitter feed.
No, don't do that.
You can do that. That is fine. That's as our designated Twitter person. That is fine. However, I will be upset. I will be upset with you posting like half of my nipple on. You're now going to zoom in, aren't you? Find that half nipple.
No. I'm just going to put censorship, which makes it look worse than it is.
Oh fuck no. Yes. Oh yes.
Oh.
But no, I really love dungarees. I like super getting into them at the moment.
Oh, this thing's gone way off track. We had a point. We touched on it.
Episode 1, we were all slightly nervous about doing this. Episode 2, shit posting starts. By that episode 10, we might actually get professional.
Here's unity.
Anybody who watches my streams anyway has seen me in dungarees because I tend to wear them over a t-shirt or over a hoodie or something. Because they're super useful, because you've got like a whole fucking thing with pockets on your chest, and it's like really nice. You can put like pliers in there, you can put your headphones in there, you can do all sorts of stuff. It's great. Dungarees are like the best thing in the world. No, nobody's gonna be with me on this.
No.
Fucking class traitors.
Can't say I do. No, I'm sorry.
I'm middle class. I'm not a class traitor for not wanting to wear dungarees. Thank you very much.
Yes, you are.
I'll keep my wool coat and my trench flat cap.
Okay, fair. That's also unacceptable.
I'll keep my glorious collection of absolutely hideous Hawaiian shirts.
Oh no!
Oh no! That's a bourgeoisie crime.
What's worse? Me and the husband have matching shirts.
That's actually kind of cute.
That is okay.
Which we refuse to wear at the same time because we're not going to be that couple.
As long as they're not matching salmon shirts, we're all good.
Oh, the better half would go for a salmon shirt, I'm sure.
I'm gonna have to talk to them and have words about their style choices.
Anyway, shall we move on to the second point in our agenda?
Yeah, oh god, I'm gonna have to cut out so much of this.
As I said, just make a second podcast.
Second podcast, Unity shit talks everybody else.
Second podcast, Lamentations from Albion.
Lamentations After Dark.
Oh.
Let's just all agree that flag wankers are fucking stupid, and that thinking that a piece of cloth is going to cover up the fact that you're a horrible person who is ruining this country shouldn't make people think that actually you support everyone. But it's the British electorate, so they're going to fall for it hook, line and sinker.
Also, the Pledge of Allegiance is fucking creepy.
Also that, Americans, what the fuck?
And why does anyone identify with a flag that they're born into geographically? It's weird.
We can talk about nationalism and the divided borders some other time.
Yeah,
totally. That could fill a whole episode.
Talking about the division of borders.
Oh, What a fun segue.
Yeah. Today, I will be talking about COVID-19 and the government restrictions on your ability to leave the United Kingdom. Yes, you, the United Kingdom citizen, you are currently banned from leaving the country. Like, such reputable countries as North Korea, Soviet East Germany, Soviet Albania, or Cold War era China. The good places to be in the world. Very Western, very progressive, very modern. So yes, for our international listeners, us here in the UK, we're currently banned from leaving the country without a state-sanctioned good reason. And on the official paperwork, they even refer to it as an excuse for leaving the country rather than anything else. And an excuse that's very coloured language. Let's put it that way. It implies that you are doing something bad, but you are getting away with it anyway. Now, here we so in order to leave the country, you have to fill out a declaration of travel form, which is in itself a meaningless activity because it's most things are allowed. I'm not gonna fully liken us to the Soviet Union or North Korea or anything because it's really not. It's not the same. However, it is a disturbing development on what is an otherwise liberal Western democracy. So, starting in I think it was February it started. We, in the UK, were banned from leaving the country. This did not appear in the mainstream media at all. The BBC said nothing about it. Most of the papers said nothing about it. I only learned about it when I was scrolling through a newsfeed and happened to find a small local paper from Cornwall, of all places, that had put out a story on this. And it sent me into a tailspin going through this law and just how insane it was. So, on the surface, it sounds like it might be a good idea. Stop people from leaving the country, stop them from spreading the coronavirus from Plague Island to the rest of the world.
Yeah, specifically you.
But when you actually dig into it, it doesn't make a huge amount of sense either way, because in order to leave the country, you have to have a coronavirus test within the last, it depends, but within the last week, basically. And so it claims you're clear. So in order to leave the country, you have to be clear of coronavirus. However, there are still rules in place that are specifically related to coronavirus. It's a bit weird. And, in order to come back into the country, you have to complete a test. So you can't really say that these rules are in place to prevent people returning from a place elsewhere and bringing coronavirus back in, because you've got to have completed a test within 48 hours of returning to the country, or at least within starting your journey to return to the country. And then you have to pay to stay at a hotel for at least 2 weeks, just in self-isolation, just to make sure that you are very much not carrying the coronavirus. So it doesn't really make a huge amount of sense, unless you think about it as a authoritarian control mechanism from an authoritarian government, who are at the same time as doing this giving the police free rein to say that protest is not a legal thing and clamp down on that hard. Totally, that's a very, very Western, very, very normal thing to do. Is ban protest, ban people's freedom of speech. That's just totally normal, totally fucking normal. But what we see when we examine this law is actually really more interesting than anything else. There are actually quite a lot of exemptions which show that you're allowed to leave the country for most things. If you can travel for work. Now, this is if you work abroad or if you have to go on a business meeting abroad or something, but you need to bring evidence of this. So, professional ID cards, employer's letters, confirmations of whatever. Now, you can do the same for volunteering or education, or even if you were going for medical treatment, all with official forms showing that you are doing the thing that you are supposed to be doing abroad. And that covers most things. That covers most things other than pleasure, obviously. However, if you are, say, a minority or somebody of a poorer persuasion who is simply leaving the country with either the hope of finding work or with the hope of claiming asylum somewhere, or with the hope of doing something outside of these very specific remits, you're going to find yourself arrested because it is currently illegal, not unlawful, but fucking legal to even be at a port of exit, which is legal definition for a physical port or a international rail terminal or an international airport, without proof that you are allowed to be there. And you can be fined up to £5,000, just under. I think it's 4,600 or something like that for the offence. Now that's not a great look for the government, but there's some more interesting little tidbits in there as well. Like, you're allowed to leave for like weddings or funerals, and the evidence you have to provide for that is weird. Like a wedding invite, a letter of invitation for a funeral. These aren't official documents. These two categories alone simply show that this is a method of control rather than a method of stemming a vast coronavirus outbreak, which is, well, let's face it, I don't call this place Plague Island for nothing. We have one of the worst coronavirus outbreaks in the world, and certainly one of the worst per capita in the world. Anybody want to...
Oh, you've missed one of the fun and exciting exceptions. There's an exception for if you own a home abroad. You can travel to sell your property abroad, I believe.
Yes, I did. I am working off the government's guidance website. However, I have actually read the physical regulations, the law about this, which is shows a few more exceptions, but they are kind of like edge case scenarios like the one that Cypher just mentioned.
Well, basically, if you're rich enough, you can work your way around it. So, you know.
Yeah, basically, this is a thing that impacts primarily the poor. Like, so if you're going to be leaving the country for work, generally you are not working for an hourly wage in Primark. You are somebody who is important, somebody who is wealthy. Same for volunteering. If you are volunteering abroad, generally you're not somebody who is poor. You are somebody who has the money to support themselves, because countries don't let you in if you don't have the money to support yourself while you're working, especially if you are volunteering, which generally is working for free. Similar for education. Who travels abroad for education? The wealthy. Who travels abroad for medical grounds? Those people who can't get the treatment they need under the NHS or under our medical system in the UK, and can afford to pay the exorbitant rates for non-nationals in whatever country they're moving to or going to for that. The only two that can be even contemplated by normal people. By normal people, I mean you, the working class, the people listening to this right now. You may be middle class, you may be working class, you might even be the lower class, the poor, those on benefits, those working hand to mouth every single day. Funerals and weddings, that's the only thing you're allowed to leave the country for, essentially. This is insane. This is authoritarian governance at its worst.
I think that there's an important caveat to put in here, because there might be someone listening to this who's saying, yeah, that is wrong. Yeah, and it's totally unfair to force me to wear a mask in public.
No,
that is not even in the same league as this.
No,
because
wearing a mask in public, everybody should wear a mask in goddamn public. Coronavirus is a real fucking thing. I am not touching the fucking anti-vax community and the anti-coronavirus community. Fuck them. Fuck their stupid shit. They are idiots. This is on a different level of bullshit. Yeah. This is nothing to do with corona. This has been introduced as part of the coronavirus package of laws, but this is something very, very different. As I said at the start, in order to leave the country, you have to have a coronavirus test. In order to get back into the country, you have to have a coronavirus test. So you're not leaving if you're fucking carrying coronavirus. You're not coming back in if you're carrying coronavirus. There is some very, very specific stuff here this is for controlling people. And specifically you, the people who are listening to this podcast, the poor, the middle class, not the upper class.
When shops are shut down to protect their workers, when office space is closed so that people can work from home and protect themselves, when stay-at-home orders are posted, as much as people would like to complain, that is not a threat to your civil liberties. Those are actions taken in the middle of a pandemic to prevent spread. In order to leave the country, you have to prove that you are clear of coronavirus.
Exactly.
There is no fucking comparison between the two, other than they are both supposedly to prevent the spread of COVID, but it's just not, because you get the test and you can't fly if you have a positive test.
Exactly, and you can't even. It's not even you can't get on a plane. Like, we require tests to leave the country, but every other country in the world requires you to have a clear test in order to even land. Like, if you somehow manage to get on a plane without the correct COVID test paperwork and you get to the airport on the other side, they will ask you for your paperwork and they will put you back on a plane and get you the fuck back to England if you don't have that paperwork. But this is not like that. This is a separate layer on top of that. That is dystopian in the extreme. I have no other way to describe it.
Yeah, I hate to use this phrase, but it is government overreach. It's like...
Yeah, it is. It is utterly government overreach. It is
and
utterly authoritarian.
Also, it's bolting the gate after the horse is already gone.
Yes.
Because we needed these restrictions this time last year.
Yeah, I would have accepted, at the start when the coronavirus was like running rampant, when there wasn't an English variant that is currently ravaging chunks of the world. I would have accepted, maybe banning people from leaving the country is a bad thing, but an acceptable thing given the circumstances. But a year on, after not doing this is just showing how authoritarian the Conservative government really is. I mean, when the government of Donald Trump doesn't ban people from leaving the country, you've really got to, worry when your government does.
It's telling that the legislation contains no specific end date for this. It's just at the government's discretion as to when it will be taken away.
Exactly. Now, you've led into my next point, because this was part of the stay-at-home level 4 lockdown package for the whole country. And that makes sense. To a certain degree. You can legitimize it to a certain degree. However, we're recording this on the 29th, which is the day that the stay-at-home orders ended. You can go outside. You can go and meet other people. To a certain extent. There's still quite a lot of regulation around that, but you can at least, interact with the world around you. But no, this has been now extended with no end date given. Just past the 29th, this is just happening. This is a new normal. You have to prove that you have the right to leave the country. And I have said this before, I think privately. I don't know if it was on the last podcast, but we in the UK, we used to be referred to as the sick man of Europe in the wake of World War One, I believe it was. But,
I think it was the Second World War, but yeah.
Was it the Second World War? Shit. I genuinely could not remember when that was. But nonetheless, we were referred to as the sick man of Europe. And we are returning to that. We are returning to that with an extra flair of Dickensian horror. You want to come to a steampunk country of repression and technical decadence? Come to the UK, because we have both in Spain.
Cheerful note. Yeah, I always said I really love reading cyberpunk, but I don't want to be in it. Yeah. Okay. Dear. Now my part, I believe.
Yes. Before you go forward, I'm really sorry, guys. I did say I was full of righteous indignation and righteous anger before I started this.
Yeah, the thing is, we had nothing to add because we were just going, yeah, we agree. Okay.
So, tell us, what have you got to talk about today, Cypher?
Well, after the fun and excitement of flag wankers and governmental wankers not letting us out of the country, I thought I'd talk about something which could actually make the country slightly less shite.
We've positive ending. This is what we need.
That's illegal. We're not allowed hope.
Oh, there is
the
no
Isle
hope.
of the Isle of Despondency is not allowed hope.
We're called Lamentationsfromalbion, not cheery, upbeat, potentially good things from Albion.
Oh, well, this is the thing. As a proper twist, it's like it will start out as good, happy, clappy stuff, and then it'll be the depressing thing that this will never happen because people are useless. Anyway.
there's your spirit being beaten out of you like a proper cog in the machine.
Right, so one of my passions as a politician... Oh, God, I feel slightly dirty saying that. Admitting I'm a politician, Jesus. Found it easier to come out as bi. One of my passions, anyway, is universal basic income, which has become the talk of the town recently, but I was on it before it became popular. And the thing is...
I was cool before it became popular, goddammit.
But it's not a new idea. It literally dates back to the writing of the book Utopia. And the justification in that book for it is that to have a functioning civilization, people have to give up their ability to grow their own food, to hunt their own food, so that there can be a civilization. So therefore, it's that civilization's responsibility to feed its people, to feed and clothe its people, because they cannot do it themselves as part of that functioning society.
You're talking about the specialization of people. Everybody moving from a hunter-gatherer agrarian society to a slightly more urbanized or even ruralized, but less farming-orientated community.
Well, yeah. As soon as you start having people whose specializations do not directly feed themselves, which you need blacksmiths.
Surely that isn't a state thing, though. Surely that's something that just happens. You don't grow food, but your neighbour does, so you just work out an agreement with them.
Yes, that's all fine and dandy. But because people now cannot get their own food, because in the early days, yes, you might be the one who makes the best bread, but you could still go out and hunt a boar and make your own bacon. Now, you can't do that anymore. You have no option to really apply your own food unless you really, really dedicate all your time to doing that and effectively drop out of society. So, the idea is that everyone should have a minimum income provided by the state to compensate them from the fact that they can no longer feed themselves.
Ah, you're talking about universal basic income, aren't you?
Yes. Universal basic income. Replacing all benefits and the associated stigma of claiming benefits with a income which everyone gets without having to go through any hoop.
I mean, you say replacing the associated stigma, but I think we know that a lot of people in this country are still going to look at it as some disgusting failure on you as a person.
Well, yes, but here's the thing. Quite a lot of our benefit system is incredibly wasteful because it just assumes everyone is trying to trick it. In fact, I remember hearing on the radio years ago that there's a group within the DWP as it is now.
That's the Department of Work and Pensions.
Whose sole purpose is to find out how much they should reduce widows' pensions, and the cost of that department or group is greater than any savings it makes. So if you just give people enough money to survive on, then you have a much cheaper system. It also has the fantastic advantage, which is why it's never going to be allowed to be successful, of making it so that people can quit their jobs without worrying that they're going to be made homeless. So all the shitty jobs that people now do, because it's do this job or starve, either have to start improving their conditions or paying people a hell of a lot of money to make them want to do them.
I know. I see so many people say that we can't have universal basic income because then who will do the jobs that I won't want to do? That's the fucking point of it, you dumb motherfucker.
You get these people, pay them enough to make them want to do it. It's sort of like if you can find someone to do any job, if you pay them enough,
I think,
or if they're desperate enough. But if you move desperation, then you have to put up the pay, which means that the big fat CEOs can't buy their 13th yacht.
People also get the wrong idea about universal basic income, that it's going to turn people into mindless, just consuming, lazy, good-for-nothings who don't do anything and don't contribute to society, completely missing the point that in having that thought, they prove exactly that that's not the fucking case. Because for a lot of people, they're still going to want to go out and they're still going to want to do work. It's having the choice to be able to do that and not suffering for either not being able to or not finding the right work or any number of reasons. It takes that stigma and it takes that potential life and death situation away, because some people can't fucking work and some people struggle to find work. And at the moment, they are punished for their inability to find work for completely no fault of their own, because startups and places are asking for entry-level positions with 3 years of experience. And I can speak from experience here, because that was me for a year, and I am so fortunate that I was able to live with my parents, and I was able to survive through them. Because if I didn't, I was fucked. I was completely fucked. I couldn't do anything. Nowhere would take me, despite having qualifications. I didn't have experience.
Yeah, and you get situations where people have a passion that they really want to work at. Like I study archaeology at university. One of the main reasons why I don't do archaeology anymore is I could not support a family on the wages I could get.
Universal basic income would allow people to specialise in what they want to do rather than what is the most financially viable. And that's a huge change, because some people like me are very lucky and what I want to do matches up with the job I can take. I'm very lucky that I'm able to have the job that I have right now.
Yeah.
But that's not the case for a lot of people.
No, there are lots of people, and I've been those people where I've been doing jobs that have actually actively damaged my mental health because I needed the money to, survive. I was very lucky when I first left university to have a fair amount of money left over. And one of the first jobs I got out of university was working in the bingo hall. And the greatest feeling I had was when I quit that job. I handed in my notice, and I could do that because I had money saved up to cover me, and it was not during the recession. And there was nothing more liberating than handing in your notice to a job you hated. Especially as on the last day they would sort of say, "Oh, can you do this?" I'm like, no, what are you going to do? Fire me? Oh, it was glorious. Glorious, glorious, glorious.
It is a glorious feeling to just hand in your notice to a job that is soul-crushing and soul-destroying, which has unfortunately been most of my career. Up until this point, because now being a podcaster and a streamer and potentially a YouTube personality, depending on when you are listening to this podcast, it's like a whole fucking thing. But we need to talk about the financials of the welfare state and universal basic income, don't we? Because we can talk about, giving everyone an amount of money to live on per month, and it being, the Conservatives will tell you it's unsustainable, utterly unprofitable to do this.
As they might say, Unity, there's no magic money tree.
There is no magic money tree indeed.
Unless you're the Department of Defense.
There is no magic money tree unless the money birds are going to come and build hospitals when we leave the EU.
Indeed. That 350 million a week or whatever it was?
350 million a week, which would be able to give nurses much more than a 1% bloody pay rise.
And all it takes to raise more money is to just have the fucking balls to tax billionaires and corporations. It's not that hard.
Okay. The vast majority of UK government spending going into the welfare state currently goes into universal credit, which is not a great system, let's put it that way.
It's a way of murdering people through kindness.
Yes, universal credit currently pays out a grand total of 406 is it, pounds per month to anybody on it. And that is only because of the coronavirus. It used to be substantially less. Can you survive on £406 a month?
No.
No, none of us can. I live in a fucking cheap area of the country, and I can't. Like, I have to substitute my... if I was on this, I would have to substitute my income in very different ways. And it is the same around the country. It is insane. We could be paying every single person in the country, not means tested, nothing like that, just streamline it into the tax system that already exists in the country. In the same way that you, without even knowing about it, just get a letter one day and say, oh, here's a tax rebate. If you're lucky enough to have ever got that.
Well, I have.
Twice,
in fact.
Yeah, I have as well. It's a nice feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you can get thousands of pounds a month for the amount of money that the government is spending on the goddamn welfare system, and it's insane. This is just another method of control of keeping those who are born poor in poverty. Because, let's face it, 400 quid a month is fucking poverty. You can barely pay for anything with that. You can't even pay for rent. Now, if you're on benefits, your rent, you can apply to have that discounted or taken away completely. And similarly, a 25 or 50% reduction on your council tax, and other similar things. But even so, most people's utility bills are going to be 100 quid a month. And then on top of that, like having a phone costs money, commuting places costs money. Like, just everything in the world costs goddamn money, and nobody can survive. Like, I spend like 120 quid a month on fucking food, and that's me eating frugally. I can't imagine the amount of horror it would be to survive solely on £400 a month. It's beyond criminal. It is beyond callous.
The other thing is that people keep on forgetting this conversation is that jobs are starting to disappear as more and more automation comes in. There's less jobs. The other thing is that there's a poor economic literacy being proved by this. Rich people do not put money into the economy. After a certain point of wealth, the amount of extra money, you just can't spend anything. And the economy thrives on money moving. You give 100 quid to a poor person, they'll spend it very quickly.
They will spend it within the week. I fucking guarantee you.
Within the week, and quite possibly within half an hour walk of their home. They'll go to the local shop.
They will go to the local shop and they will buy their month's food.
Yeah. A rich person, you give 100 quid to, they'll put it in a bank account. They won't spend it. It will just disappear out of the economy.
It will sit and it will stagnate.
Which is just a thing that occurred to me when they had the credit crunch. It's instead of giving money to the bank, if they'd given that money spread out across the entire UK to individual people, that would have been back in the economy and would have kicked the economy going so much faster than giving it to banks.
I'd just like to finish up with one thing, and that is a lot of times there's the popular meme, so much for the tolerant left. And a lot of times there's that adage from Michelle Obama, they go low, we go high. And it's never worked. It's never worked because you can't beat people who are cheating at the game. And I think we collectively on the left have to realise that we can't play the game according to the rules anymore. There's nothing we can do to beat them when they are fucking cheating, because we're just going to lose and lose and lose, and it's going to get people hurt and killed, and we're never going to get out of this spiral. We've got to give up the idea that somehow we can get our way through this with niceties and politeness, because they aren't playing by the same rules as us. So we need to stop trying to pretend that we can do better, because we fucking can't, because that's not how it works. They kick us in the teeth, we need to kick them down everywhere. Fuck fascists, punch a Nazi. It's not civil debate, it's getting rid of threats to society. Fuck Nazis, punch them, Richard Spencer. Fucking love that meme.
It's a beautiful thing.
I might
even just add like a whole section of just him getting punched in the face, just repeated over and over in the end of this. But nonetheless, we need to punch Nazis. We need to firebomb cop cars. We need to fight against the state. We need to stop just lying back and letting the authoritarians in our society dictate the rules to us.
There is a paradox of tolerance. If you can't be too tolerant of people whose ideas are inherently intolerant, because they will destroy you. We can't let them win, because they win, we lose.
Need to rage against the dying of light. We really do.
Maybe we should, I don't know, rage against the machine? So, thank you for listening to Lamentations for Albion, this very weird second episode. You can find us on Twitter at lamentationsfr1, or you can send us an email at lamentationsfromalbion@gmail.com. And so, from me, Alexis, from Cypher Duran.
Goodbye.
From Unity.
Goodbye, lovely listeners.
It is a goodbye from all of us. And remember, all cops are bastards. Punch Nazis. Never surrender. The red flag will fly.